Last week we had a discussion on why hypertension is more prevalent in young adults. And I put myself on that seat, on that bed at Kolebu, and went through the check. But today the doctor is in studio so that you all can get the opportunity. If you want to give us a call and ask questions, you are welcome to do so. Today we're talking about hypertension in pregnancy. So pregnancy and hypertension. And my doctor is seated now. Dr. Joseph Akamah is head of cardiology, University of Ghana Medical School, and also the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. He's also director of interventional cardiology at Kolebu. Good morning again. Thank you for being here.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Nice to be here.
Yeah. Hopefully today we can activate the phone lines and people can call us.
Okay.
But let's begin. Hypertension in pregnancy.
Yes.
The sad thing is, I know at least one person who lost her baby very recently. We're talking maybe like 2 weeks.
That's sad.
Yes, and she was visibly pregnant, and then she lost the baby.
Oh dear.
And it was due to hypertension. Yes.
Unfortunate. Very sad.
Yeah.
May God console her and more babies to come.
Yeah.
Yes.
But how does it happen?
Well, good morning, your viewers, and good morning to you again. Hypertension in pregnancy is one of the problems that women face when they get into become pregnant. Yeah. Basically, there are different forms of hypertension. And the definition is the same as we use for any other person with hypertension. The blood pressure is high, more than 140 over 90. Either of them, if the top number is more than 140, it's hypertension. If the bottom number is more than 90, it's hypertension. Or both of them are more than 140 over 90, it's hypertension. Now, if it is severe, a pregnant woman can have severe hypertension, which is normally more than 170, or the bottom number is more than 110. So in pregnancy, you could either have hypertension before the pregnancy, and usually up to 20 weeks before pregnancy, we'll call it chronic hypertension. Okay. Means that you already came with your hypertension before you became pregnant. Now, if the hypertension happens after the pregnancy, usually 20 weeks after the pregnancy, we call it pregnancy-induced hypertension. Okay. Now, there's a higher level one, a severe one, called Preeclampsia. Now, it's not just hypertension that came in the pregnancy, but it came and is damaging organs. It's called end organ damage. And when that happens, we call it Preeclampsia. So hypertension that happens after 20 weeks of pregnancy or during the pregnancy, and the person begins to have end organ damage. Particularly, it damages the kidneys, leading to proteinuria. So once a pregnant woman...
What is that, please?
Proteinuria is a term, I'm sorry I should have explained it, but it's a term that means protein in the urine. Okay. Proteinuria. So the person passes urine and there's protein in there. Normally, our urine should not have protein. Okay. When you start having protein, that means your kidneys are not able to keep the protein in the blood. It crosses the kidneys to come out in the urine. Okay. So if the woman has hypertension and has proteinuria, then we'll call it preeclampsia. There are other variants, like there are other evidence of end organ damage, low platelet count called thrombocytopenia, heart failure, brain problems, visual problems. Those can also be variants of preeclampsia. Okay. Now, if it becomes severe, the mother of all hypertension in pregnancy is called eclampsia. That is, we all fear it because it causes a lot of problems. Okay. So eclampsia is not just hypertension, but now the mother is in real danger. The person becomes comatose sometimes, gets a lot of seizures, and the blood pressure is high. And if action is not taken immediately, we might lose a woman and the baby. And most often, eclamptic patients have to be sent to a specialist who the obstetrician have to deliver the baby to safeguard the mother. So, in a nutshell, there are different types. You had BP before you became pregnant. You got your BP the high blood pressure during the pregnancy, or you got the blood pressure during the pregnancy, but you had some end organ damage, proteinuria, that's preeclampsia. And the severe form is eclampsia, where the person can go into coma and die.
Yeah. I know that when you're pregnant and you go for the antenatal, you're constantly checked, your blood pressure is checked, except that they don't, at least during my time, they didn't explain why they were checking it. But now, after reading a bit about it, I know why now.
Right.
But how does somebody know blood pressure, no history of that, and then suddenly you get pregnant,
right,
and then you start experiencing it? How does that happen?
Well, the etiology, meaning the cause, is not really known, but there are associations. First pregnancy, especially if your first pregnancy happens at an older age, sometimes teenagers can also have this preeclampsia. If you had a hypertension before, you're at a high risk of getting preeclampsia. If your family history shows that your mom had preeclampsia, you can also get preeclampsia. Those who have multiple births can also be at a high risk of preeclampsia. So there is no distinct cause. Just like hypertension, we can't just say this is what caused it, but there's a predisposition. So first pregnancy, sometimes they even say having your first pregnant with a different new partner, completely new partner, can lead you to preeclampsia. If you had preeclampsia the last pregnancy, you're likely to have it.
Okay.
The older you are, the likely chance that you're going to have it. If you had BP, high blood pressure, before your pregnancy, you can also come down with preeclampsia.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Whilst we're having the conversation, if there's a question on your mind, something that is bothering you, particularly if you're pregnant, we want to limit this conversation to hypertension in pregnancy. You can give us a call, 0302-211-6910, 0302-211-6910. Can you detect, can you tell even before you get pregnant if you have high blood pressure?
Sure. We want our viewers to know that blood pressure is very common in Ghana. An analysis by a Dr. Ado showed that up to 50% of Ghanaians at a high risk, adult Ghanaians at high risk of blood pressure. So the range can go from a third of Ghanaians to 50%.
Wow.
And we don't have current data to show. But if you look at a trend, hypertension is currently a #1 killer of adults in Ghana. So the Ghana Health Service data from 2006 annual report shows that hypertension and cardiovascular disease is leading. Hypertension causes stroke, so it's very common. That means that all Ghanaians should start getting aware and start checking your blood pressure. So adult Ghanaians, you must know your blood pressure numbers, meaning once a while, go and check your blood pressure. Go see a primary care physician. And sometimes the pharmacist can help you. You check your blood pressure. That's the way the woman can know the blood pressure.
Yeah.
So that when she becomes pregnant, she knows what her baseline is. And then as soon as you miss your period and you think that you're going to keep that baby, you have to see an obstetrician.
Okay.
So that they book you in.
Okay. Please hold your thoughts there. Let's speak to Francis. Francis Ajiman is joining us from Nkoko. Francis, good morning. I'm curious, you're not pregnant. Good morning, Francis.
Yeah, good morning.
We can hear you. Please, first of all, Francis, you have to turn down the volume on that television set so we don't get feedback. Can I just say that if you're calling us on 0302-211-69102, kindly turn down the volume or your television set so we don't get any feedback at all. Francis, if you've done that, please let's hear you.
Yes, please. Please, can you hear me?
I can. Thank you.
All right. Please, just a quick one. I want the confirmation. My wife is 7 weeks pregnant, and she visited the hospital. She ran some tests, but I just went to the lab and I saw positive protein and then ketones. So I just want to ask doctor if it's a concern.
Francis, good morning. Yes,
good morning, doctor.
it's a concern. Once your wife has protein And ketones, not so much of the ketones. The ketones means she's not eating enough. Sometimes when you're starving, you have ketones. People who fast have ketones. But protein should not be there. Okay. So I would say make an appointment with the obstetrician. Okay? So even though she's 7 weeks, make an appointment with an obstetrician. They'll do other tests to find out, is her blood pressure high? Did she have blood pressure before this pregnancy? And did she have problems with her previous pregnancy? And then take it from there. They need to check her kidney functions and take it from there. So make an appointment with the obstetrician.
Francis, thank you. And it's really good that you're monitoring. We need more of you, Francis. Thank you very much. Francis Ajiman calling us from Nkoko, and I am so impressed. Okay, if you have any comments or questions, you can also give us a quick call, 030221169102. So you're telling us if you keep checking your blood pressure as we create the awareness, then you would know if you have BP even before you get pregnant.
Exactly. So for instance, take myself. When I was in the US, my blood pressure was in the 120s. I was cruising fine. Then as I get older and I move to Ghana, my trend is showing upward trend. So I know where I am now.
Okay.
I know where I was 5 years ago. And then at that point where I cross the line, I confront my doctor and say, look, my blood pressure is getting too high. I want you to do something for me. But if you're not aware and you're taken suddenly ill, it's difficult to correct the damage. But it's better to know beforehand. So the pregnant young women don't say my blood pressure is always low. Women have low blood pressure. But as soon as they become pregnant, the BP should even get lower, okay, when you're pregnant. But as soon as it begins to rise, the obstetrician will red flag you and know that you should be seen sooner. Instead of the 4 weeks or 8 weeks intervals, I should see you next week. Check your protein, check your urine, check your blood pressure. Then if you start having visual problems, you start having headaches when you're pregnant, it could be an indication that your blood pressure is high. And sometimes the number 140, women might not even get to the 140 and they become preeclamptic. So don't hinge so much on the 140. Hinge on the fact that your blood pressure was 110 before you became pregnant, and now it's 130. Okay. That is not good.
All right. Let's go to Kumbungu now. Let's speak to Sofu Yamusu or Yamusa. Good morning to you. Thank you for calling.
Good morning.
Please, let's hear you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Sure.
In fact, it's Sofu Yamusa in Kumbungu.
Okay. Thank you.
In fact, I just heard the doctor talk about Preeclampsia. In fact, somewhere 2016, when my wife was about to deliver, this thing resulted, and I was scared. I was actually scared because I googled through and see this Preeclampsia issue, and I was so scared. So we had to go to the hospital, and then they had to keep her there. Fortunately, you know, in this part of our world, when a wife is delivered through operation, we are usually not happy with it. So I never thought she could deliver the normal way. But fortunately, at long last, she delivered successfully through the normal way. And this time around, I have just realized that she's also about to deliver. Even today, she's gone to the hospital.
Okay.
And I can see that there are some signs like that. There are the leg seems to be expanding for the past few weeks. And 3 years ago, the same symptoms started occurring. So I don't know, and we are expecting that this month we should deliver.
Okay.
So I need an advice on this.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let me talk to Theresa, and then we'll box the two together. Theresa Ofuswasari is in Akosombo. Good morning to you, Theresa. Thank you for calling. Let's hear you.
Good morning. I have an experience with the Preeclampsia. Okay, I got pregnant. Hello?
Yes, Theresa, we can hear you.
Okay. I got pregnant. During my first pregnancy, there was nothing there. I didn't get any hypertension. But in my second pregnancy, I gave birth all right, and then later in the house, about 2 weeks after the pregnancy, after giving birth, I collapsed. And then when I went to the hospital, they told me it's Eclampsia because they saw protein in my urine.
Okay.
So I want to know, is it possible to give birth and after the pregnancy, after giving birth, to get Preeclampsia? And is it likely to occur again?
Okay. Teresa, thank you very much.
Yes. The two are very practical experiences. And Teresa, I'm sorry you went through this. And Sopho, I wish you all the best with your wife. But leg swelling is a common finding in pregnant women. Why? Because the womb sits on the pipeline that brings blood back from the legs to the heart. So sometimes the womb can compress, that is called inferior vena cava. When it compresses it, the veins do not bring the blood back quickly enough. So the woman can can have leg swelling. Leg swelling could also be a sign that the kidneys are not working well. So it's difficult to know where your wife is, but she's almost due. That tells me that the womb is very big. So it's possible that this swelling is from the womb, but because she had preeclampsia before, that increases her chance of getting preeclampsia. So you need to go with her, let them check the urine, let them check her blood pressure, and then talk to the midwife or the doctor, see what is going on. Don't be too anxious, but be available to help them care for your wife.
Okay.
And then whatever assistance you can do, you help them. If they say, go check the urine, you take it to the lab quickly so they can get the result. Once they know what is going on, she can still deliver vaginally, like he said. But it can be such a way that the blood pressure is going up so fast or so high that they have to deliver her by cesarean section. So keep an open mind. So don't be too restricted, but at the same way be prayerful, be there for help, and do all the help you can. I mean, give her all the help you can.
Okay.
Teresa, your chance of getting preeclampsia again goes high. Yes, preeclampsia can happen during and after, immediately after pregnancy. It can happen. So do not stop taking medications immediately after delivery. Sometimes pregnancy-induced hypertension can go away after the pregnancy has been terminated by normal delivery. And then maybe a period of time, the blood pressure is normal. But that should be left to the gynecologist, the obstetrician, to decide that now your blood pressure is too low, let's take you off the medicines one after another, and then they can stop it. But if you had preeclampsia again, preeclampsia before, the chances are that you may. It's not 100%, you may.
This is just me.
So when you decide to have pregnancy, plan it with your obstetrician.
Okay, all right, let's speak to Erasmus, I think, or Mac. Hello, good morning. Erasmus, Nutukwe from the Tema Ports. Good morning to you. Thank you for calling.
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, for Erasmus. You're on air. Let's hear you.
Thank you. I'm Nutukwe Erasmus. Oh, is that Mamavi?
Yes, it is.
Dr. Akamah is my doctor.
Okay.
Dr. James is my personal doctor. Even my wife, I just want to thank him.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Erasmus, thanks. Let's speak to Mac. Mac Abwaji is calling from Kaswa. Good morning, Mac.
Good morning.
Yes, Mac, thank you for holding. Let's hear you.
Sure. I just tuned in and I want to know, my question is, I want to know at what point is your BP said to be normal?
Okay, in pregnancy? Because that's what we're talking about.
Yes,
in pregnancy.
My wife is in her trimester and I'm just asking. She's not faced with any complications yet, but I just want to know at what point or is the BP said to be normal? And then the second thing is that she
Hello, Mac.
Can I ask the second question?
Yes, please do. We're listening.
Yeah, sure. So for her, she vomits up a lot. Almost everything she eats, she throws up. I want to know if it's normal.
Okay. Is this her first pregnancy?
Say again?
Is this her first pregnancy?
Yes, it's her first.
Okay. And this is your first too, I guess?
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations to you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, Doc.
Do you want to give him your experience?
No.
So, Mark, congratulations and best wishes. Pregnancy-induced hypertension happens when the blood pressure begins to go up, usually after the 20th week, meaning your baseline blood pressure is no more what it used to be. So her baseline BP should normally be around 90 to 110 for women. As she's young, this is her first pregnancy, should be around 110, 120, thereabout.
Okay.
But Mark, don't look so much of the 140, 90. Look at the trend. Is the trend going up? So if she was 110 last week and suddenly it jumps to 130, that is an alarm. You have to see the obstetrician. So have a discussion with her obstetrician. If you don't have one, see a family physician. Now there are family physicians or general physician. Discuss with them. The antenatal card is such a way that you can map your blood pressure. So if you go to the antenatal visit and they book her and they are following the trend, you can see what was last visit, this visit. Apart from that, it's also good to have your own machine in the house.
Okay.
So you can keep a trend. Vomiting in pregnancy is a problem. Okay, it's a problem. One, the person doesn't want to eat, but we want them to eat so that the baby can grow. So if it is happening, often it's interfering, see the obstetrician. There are ways they can treat her. Sometimes they get dehydrated and she may need IV fluids. So I would say have a discussion with your obstetrician.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You know, when the conversation is at the point where you don't want to end, that's when you're told that you have very little time. We have to go. But I just want to allow you to just sum it all up for us, pregnancy, hypertension in pregnancy. And I've got one last question to ask you just before we go. Okay.
So to begin with, women and cardiovascular disease is a problem. It's under-recognized, it's under-treated. So I want all women to take this serious, that we're not just talking about the pregnant woman and hypertension, but I look at the global woman, the Ghanaian woman, and cardiovascular disease. Because in Ghana, if the woman goes down, the family is nowhere to be surviving. So for the pregnant woman, get your blood pressure before you get pregnant. And when your blood pressure is high, you can still become pregnant, but you have to plan it with the obstetrician. If your blood pressure begins to climb up, meaning your baseline was 90, 110, and it's beginning to go up, talk to the obstetrician. And then when you start having symptoms like headache, visual signs, dizziness, increasing leg swelling, talk to the obstetrician. And they'll have ways of managing. Okay. The problem with managing hypertension in pregnancy is it can affect the BP, can affect the mother and affect the baby. The blood pressure medicines can affect the mother and affect the baby. So the obstetrician and sometimes a physician have to come together to decide what are treatment, what are medications that will help you progress through your pregnancy smoothly without having problems. So your baby is delivered healthy, your wife or your body comes out of the pregnancy with no harm. Okay. So I say it's a multidisciplinary approach.
Okay, this is a 30 seconds question and answer. Following from our conversation last week, Jansen asked me and I couldn't answer on the show, can a relationship, a heartbreak, actually affect your actual hearts?
One mom is shocked. It is possible. Okay. There are two ways it can happen. There's something called the broken heart syndrome. Broken heart syndrome is when a catastrophic event happens to somebody. Like, let me use it like a mother loses her only son to a lorry car that hit the son. The mother can collapse and get a broken heart, and the heart can stop working and become so weak. That is real. So it's a broken heart syndrome. Okay. Love relations can also lead to problems. Not so much of the broken heart syndrome because we're resilient, but it can lead to depression, it can lead to substance abuse, it can lead to lack of sleep, and all of these are all risk factors for hypertension. So the fact that you're broken-hearted can lead to hypertension. The things that come with it, it comes with an entourage. You're not sitting, you're not eating well, you're not sleeping. Maybe you take to alcohol. Alcohol is a #1 predisposition factor for hypertension. You're not resting well. So all of this. So Youngson, don't get a broken heart. If you do, take it easy, and then hopefully you don't get into trouble.
I can promise you, that guy, no woman can break his heart.
Thank
you very much,
right,
Dr. Joseph Akamah, heads cardiology at the University of Ghana Medical School and the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. I hope that you've enjoyed this conversation on hypertension in pregnancy. It's been our Healthy Thursday conversation, and it's a campaign for us on high blood pressure, just so you can be aware of it and control it.